So, dear Thầy, dear Sangha, tonight it's always my pleasure and honor to give you this presentation. It's a talk about, I can call a concept of happiness, and I will use part of the Samadhi Sutra to illustrate a bit of our basic Buddhism learning. So as you can see on this first slide, I show you a technical term the Buddha employed in the sutra, which is the word dục tưởng, which is a translation from Sanskrit into Vietnamese, and which is also translated into English as wrong perceptions about the objects of desire. As you know, for most of us, we tend to confound. I guess this is the word in English, I would say confondre in French. We tend to confound between desire and happiness. Our teacher, during his Dharma talk given in Plum Village in 1994, said that our notions about happiness could become the obstacle of our happiness. This is, for me, is quite a strong statement, but I guess as we contemplate on it, it is so true, as I will try to explain a bit later in my presentation. I'm going to the second slide now. I present here a small section of the Samadhi Sutra. The Samadhi Sutra has 3 parts, and I pick this part only, which is relevant to my presentation. This is the Gatha given by the Buddha. I will read it. Human beings produce wrong perceptions concerning the objects of desire. That is why they are caught in desire, because they do not know what desire really is. They proceed on the path to death. This is very strong. I guess once we understand that well, we certainly can say that this is a real wake-up call to our wrong perceptions about desire. To my third slide now. This picture I took from the internet, just to as symbolic picture to show you that when I was young, I grew up in a small village in the countryside. My village, my hometown is called Xuân Lộc, about 2 hours of driving distance from Saigon. When I was young, I never had to question about happiness. I was surrounded by my parents and my brother, and I was surrounded by beautiful landscape of the countryside. I was surrounded by peaceful nature, as well as hardworking and kind villagers. So as young children, we simply enjoy our time playing with very limited toys we can find around. There were nothing like the abundance of plastic toys children nowadays have. But when the war later reached the countryside, my family moved to Saigon to be safer. And you know, at 8 years old, I embarked on a new way of living. And I start to be seriously embracing the old fashion of Confucianism. You know, Confucius, dictated by the society at that time. I give you now the model of happiness. The Vietnamese concept of happiness of my generation. As you can see, it was heavily dictated and molded by the teaching of Confucianism. It created a lot of pressure on young people and continues to even to still be quite alive today in some Asian populations. I will simply address some of these points highlighted in yellow here. First of all, having a career. In Vietnamese, we say, without a career, we work less than trees and grass. My Vietnamese friends will surely know the sentence, không công danh nát với cỏ cây. This goal to have a career weighs on us, especially young people, heavily. I was all these years stressed and studied so hard to attain this goal. I have known young people who committed even suicide because they failed some major exams during their high school studies. Then getting married in the old time, not too long ago, our parents chose our spouses. My older brother married to his wife, a woman chosen by my mother that he never met before marrying her. I was lucky myself because I studied abroad and I escaped from my parents' will. Taking care of our parents. When our parents are getting old and they can no longer work, it is the duty of the children to take care of the parents and to take them in with us to live under the same roof. And this is the Confucianist teaching of 3 generations living in the same compound. In Vietnamese, we say tam đại đồng đường. And this goal, this concept was the source of my suffering for so many years. As when I graduated, my mother passed away. I was tormented because I did not have a chance to take care of her. And the last point is very interesting. If the husband dies, the wife must lean on her son. In Vietnamese, we say, phu tử, tòng tử. My sister-in-law, for example, never remarried after the death of her husband. My elder brother passed away due to an illness, as I told you last time. He developed after 18 months spent in a camp of re-education. His young wife continues to raise their 3 children successfully. And she enjoys the, her old age time now at home with one of her daughter's family in Vietnam. So you can see how this concept could give us a lot of stress. This one is a picture that I took from the book Thầy wrote. And you can see the strong images used by the Buddha while talking about desires. I will not go through all of them, but just a few points for you to see. You can do some Google or research, and you will understand all those 8 comparisons. For example, a bare bone. You could imagine how the dogs love to bite and chew on it. And they will never be satisfied, you see. We can look at a fire pit. The Buddha gave the image of the lepers who love to be close to these fire pits to relieve their itching skin because they were never satisfied. We can talk about the fruit trees. When we possess the element of wrong desire, they are like fruit trees. People will come to pick up the fruits and taking away what we have. So likewise, wrong perceptions about desire will lead us to suffering. My next one. This is a positive point of view. So not only we must question about our perceptions regarding happiness and desire. On a positive side, we should learn ways to water our seeds of happiness, to learn ways to be in touch with what is true, wholesome, and beautiful around us. The blue sky, the white clouds, the beautiful smile of a child, and the beautiful sunset. That is the basic. We have to learn ways to water the seed, the capacity within us to be happy. And we have to be careful. And we should also learn to be aware of how our universal mental formations function. Like in the text that I sent you, there are 5 of them, 5 mental formations that are present everywhere in all the 51 mental formations. That's why they are called universal. First, the contact. Our first mental formation happens when a sense organ and an object come together. Then we pay attention to it. This attention has the function of drawing us to a particular object. When you hear a sound, your attention is drawn to that sound. There is appropriate and inappropriate attention. And with mindfulness, we can choose to focus our attention on something that is wholesome and beneficial. And when you get that attention, you develop some kind of feeling. The feeling could be pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. With mindfulness, our unpleasant feeling can be transformed into pleasant feelings, such as feelings of gratitude. When the feeling is pleasant, you can stop all thinking and just become aware of the feeling and enjoy it. And then come the perceptions. When we see, taste, hear, or feel something, it appears in our mind as a sign that suggests a name. If we don't bring our mindfulness to our perception, we might not notice when it is wrong. Then we might mistake a piece of rope for a snake. We might believe a person who is ignoring us, but in reality, because they are actually deaf. So wrong perception is always possible and can bring us to have fear, anger, and irritation. And the last one is the intention, also known as volition. We have a contact with the object. our feeling and our perception are born, and then we have a relationship to that object. We decide whether to possess it or to push it away. So the fifth mental formation is our decision whether to accept or reject an object. Like I used to use the example in the past. You go into a shopping center, your eyes are in contact with a beautiful winter coat, and you start paying attention to it. And you have a feeling, oh, I would be so happy in that winter coat. And you don't want to buy it because it's too expensive. You went home, you continue to perceive, visualizing yourself in that winter coat, and that is your happiness. And 2 weeks later, you pass in front of the same shop, and then, ta-da, you bought the winter coat. So that's how our mental formation works. So in order to water our seed of happiness, we should try to be in touch with whatever beautiful around us. This is a beautiful sunset captured by my daughter, as I said at the beginning, on the Red Sea border in Jordan in 2020. I found it so beautiful that I would like to share with you. But if you live in Ottawa, there is one place I know where you can also contemplate the sunset, which is my next slide. I think most of us know that. If you have ever been in Britannia Park on the Ottawa River, you should go. There's a beautiful park. You can park your car there, walk down the beach, and at around maybe 7:30, you can see the beautiful sunset on the Ottawa River. The next one is a questioning from myself. Is there an intermediate way of living? That's what we all try to find. Some people live a simple life with mindful consumption. Some people living a simple life where I embarking on a spiritual path. Some people trying to join a lay people community, or we can say in French, communauté laïque, and try to practice and live a simple life. Or you can also, like we all do now, embracing the practice of mindfulness, attending retreats, days of mindfulness, and joining a Sangha like most of us do. Embracing the mindfulness training, like the 5 mindfulness training or the 14 mindfulness trainings in Thai tradition. Particularly in the 5 mindfulness training, there's the 5th mindfulness training, which protect us and teaches us to consume mindfully and help us to be happy. The next one, in order to help us in improving our perception, getting ourselves better and better with our view, Andre Bellino gave a wonderful talk last time on impermanence, and I would like to insist again on it. The Buddha offered a practice of mindful breathing on 4 contemplations. If you look at the sutra on the full awareness of breathing, this is the 4 last ones. The first one here is on impermanence, because everything depends on everything else. When one thing fails, the whole thing could collapse. And when this happens, we call that impermanence. These things change continuously. Contemplating on the impermanence of all things and events help us to cherish what we have more and more. And we shall not be caught by surprise and shocked when things like that happen. So we hope to have time to discuss more about the other three contemplations in the future. I would like to finish with my last slide with a picture I took in the fall on the Ottawa River, close to the bridge going onto Gatineau. And you can see the water flowing all the time. The fall I see this morning is no longer the fall I will see in the afternoon. Things change continuously. And I picked here a sentence given by the late Zen pioneer Zenki Blanche Harmon. She's an American. She passed away, but she's one of the wonderful teachers in Zen Buddhism. And she said, one of the Buddha's most significant teaching is impermanence. But actually, that is just how things are. Anything, anytime, anywhere. So to live in harmony with this truth brings great happiness. A teaching by Blanche Hartman. So dear Thầy, dear Sangha, I conclude my talk here with a sound of the bell and with a deep bow to all of you for your listening. So this is the bell.